Okay, so Be'ezras Hashem, in preparation for Tu BShvat and for Tu BShvat itself, we're going to speak a little bit about a particular tree that Rebbe Nachman describes in a vision in the midst of his tale of ancient days in the 13th tale of the seven beggars. On the fifth day, when the fifth hunchbacked beggar comes back to reveal that in truth he wasn't hunchback, but he has the secret of Miyut Hamachsik Esamaruba, the secret of the minimal that contains the more. This perspective of the minimal that contains the more, that which appears to be small, that holds within itself a light that is greater than its possibility to hold, is going to be the secret of Tu BShvat that I want to try and bring out so that we have a modality of thinking about what this day is. But this notion of the little that contains the more, the germ cell of something that contains potential within it prior to the possibility of the actualization of that potential, is the secret of what it means to come to terms with the fact that the person is like a tree of the field. A person being a tree of the field means that in order to appreciate the journey of life, in order to appreciate the experience of being in this world, of being in this gan, this garden that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has planted, which is populated by so many different types of trees, many trees planted, revealing the different pillars of light that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has planted within reality. And within all of those trees, there's the Eitz HaChaim, there's the Eitz Hadas Tov V'Ra, there's all different types of trees, but ultimately the place in which all of the trees come to full fruition is within the individual themselves. That the individual has to take upon themselves to become the tree for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And a tree is not a singular thing. A tree is a process. A tree is stages of growth and descent and ascent and privation and expression and concealment and revelation and somethingness and nothingness and all of the processes of understanding that there are roots to a tree and that there are seeds to a tree and that there is the trunk of a tree and there are branches of the tree and there are leaves that grow from the branches and there are fruits that emerge from within those leaves and there's the shade that the tree provides and there's the space that the tree provides for those that rest upon the tree and there's the comfort that the tree provides for those who rest underneath the tree. Each of our lives is a composite of all of these different angles, of all of these different perspectives that are operating within a singular thing, the tree itself. A tree is a singular thing that expresses itself in so many perspectives, and it has a beginning underground, and it has a process above the ground, and it has a goal above. And then one can transform it and see it to be the reverse order, where the roots above are the branches that extend upwards, and the growth process that reveals the goal is going to be the shoresh underneath the ground. Man is a complicated thing. To be human is a complicated thing. It has to be understood from the top to the bottom, from the bottom to the top, right to left, left to right. And when a person contemplates the life of a tree, the process of a tree, the emergence and the growth of a tree in all of its various parts, a person comes to understand that in order to find wholeness, a person first and foremost must understand that wholeness is built upon particular points, fractalized points of experience, fractalized points of growth and existence itself, which, if I'm looking at it from a perspective of privation or cause and effect or a top-down approach, so then each point is just a fragment of an original whole and it doesn't provide a full picture. And so if I'm holding by a branch, I'm missing out on the tree and I'm missing out on the fruit and I'm missing out on the shade. And every point of grasp that I see in the process of becoming, which is splintered with tiny fragments of experience, if I see them in their isolation and I see them as sparks of randomness that are just splintering out into nothingness, so then I really lose sight on the ability to see my life with a sense of unity, and then I'll be jealous of the spark that's above or the different part which has a different orientation. But when a person comes, like we've spoken about, and transforms the fragment of an original whole and comes to reveal that it's a fractal which contains the original whole within itself, albeit by way of a miniature expression, so then a person comes to understand that, yes, a tree is a composite thing in the entirety of Klal Yisrael, and the entirety of history, and the entirety of the Torah, and the entirety of all of existence is just one extension of a tree from the very beginning to the very end itself, which is going to be the time where Mashiach comes and unites all of the different trees into the singular tree, and we all reveal ourselves to be part and parcel of the Eitz Chaim. The way of appreciating life as a tree and tree as life is coming to terms with the fact that each and every part of that tree, no matter how composite and how complicated it is in its development, in its formation, each and every point, each and every part, each and every stage is fundamentally whole in and of itself, seen from the vantage point of its own particular form of relative positioning. That part is seen as the most fundamental part, without which the entirety of the tree would fall into disarray. Each and every stage must come to understand its hyper significance in the uncovering of the full total image. If we don't see things as emerging into one singular image of life as a tree, the process of a tree, a singular movement from beginning to end, then I'm going to see every stage and every part of that experience as separate from each other and at war with each other, and it breeds nothing but kinataiva and kavod, and it takes a person out of their world, and it puts a person into the jealousy of trying to live in somebody else's world. But when a person comes to terms with understanding that everything is saturated and everything is enough and everything is everything, hakol hu bakol, as the Leshem Shbo V'Chaloma says, everything is contained within everything. That's the secret of the fractalized vision of the unity of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that each and every part contains the whole within it. And there's no part on the tree where you cannot access the entire DNA of the tree itself. And when the bark owns its role as the bark, it is experiencing the benefit of the branches and the fruit that come about and all of the gradations afterwards. But only when one accepts their role as a fundamental role and a role that cannot be conveyed or completed in any other way without the individual's own most investiture into that role and the confidence that that role is enough. There is enough godliness for each and every person. There is enough of God, there is enough of light, there is enough of Torah, there is enough meaning for each and every person. And when one looks at life from a perspective of scarcity, they miss out on that. It grows into a thirst and a temptation-rooted jealousy that wants more and more, not because I feel that I deserve more, but because I'm afraid if the other person has something else, then it's revealing a deficiency within me. The perspective of scarcity is always that I am not enough, I don't have enough. And the perspective of wealth, the perspective of Ashiras to Kedusha, of enoughness, of Shayish Dai Be'elukusa L'chol Bria V'Bria, and that there's enough in the tree itself to convey all of significance to each and every part of it, that's the secret of Ashiras to Kedusha, that's the secret of growth, that's the secret of the Peros Ha'ilan of feeling the taste of the fruit in every aspect of the tree itself. And this is the secret of the Miyota Machzakas Amaruba. We tend to assume that there are certain parts of the tree that are the meruba, that express greatness, that express intensity, that express hyper significance, that express themselves loudly, and they're real, and they're penetrative, and they're revelatory of existence. And we tend to assume that that's where the essential purpose of the tree is revealed. And we come to deny the value of the smaller parts and the boring parts that lead up to those moments in our lives. And we come to disregard the lower elements of the tree. And we come to see the miut, the smallness, as something that is unworthy of our attention, unworthy of cultivation, unworthy of intentionality and a descent down into it to uncover the allness that rests within each and every part. And we run towards the meruba, we run towards that lofty ideal, we run towards the fruit of the tree, and we forget about the tree itself. We forget about how each and every part of the tree is fundamental in the composition of the tree. All of the ibor, the yanika, and the moichin, the shoirish, the geza, the anafim, the peros, the alim, the tziporim that sit on top of the tree, the chayos that sit underneath the tree, all of the different parts of the tree are hyper essential. And from that perspective, we come to uncover hamiyot hamachzik esamaruba, that there's nothing so small that it doesn't contain the great within it. There's nothing so insignificant that it doesn't contain the hyper significance of all that is significant within it. The prat contains the klal within it. The deviation contains the goal within it. And this is the secret of Ha'adam Eitzah Sadeh, to find ourselves fully and unabashedly present with HaKadosh Baruch Hu in each and every moment of our existence, and to understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu carries out his shlichus, carries out his desire, carries out his singular ratzon that is rooted in the 6 days of creation and before, and he carries it out in accordance with each and every detail, exactly arranged as it is meant to be, in the secret of hashkacha pratis, the hashkacha ha'elyona, which is the secret of Tu BShvat, of coming to find HaKadosh Baruch Hu's presence within the unity of all things. Tu B'Shvat, the secret of the equanimity that is found in the unity of all things, but the willingness to maintain a deep connection to each and every part of that experience, because the part contains the all. The part contains the all. Hamiyat hamachsika samaruba. And this gives us the ability to find comfort in our lives. This gives us the ability to live with Ashiris to Kedusha, to say to ourselves, Ilan, Ilan, b'mama avarechacha, that what can I bless you with? You have everything. Each and every person is saturated. The only blessing possible is that your fruit should be like you, that every moment should be another moment of coming to understand the pure saturation of godliness that is found in each and every fractalized expression of a person's life. Every moment is another ak and abia. Every moment has a shirish, a geza, an anaf, a pri, an Allah. Everything that needs to be found is found in each and everything. And when we uncover this latent allness that rests within the part, we uncover the secret of hasameach bechelko, finding simcha within the chelek itself, finding sipuk within the suffix, finding satisfaction within the recognition that if I don't learn how to find satisfaction where I am at right now, in the composition of the great tree of being that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is revealing from the depths of an infinite wisdom, and we know nothing about anything whatsoever, then we come to find the satisfaction needed to celebrate every element of the tree, the secret of miyat hamachsika samruba. And so the fifth beggar, the hunchback beggar who came to protect the lost son and daughter, the lost boy and girl in the forest on the fifth day, and came to give them bread. And the children so desperately wanted to go and chase after this hunchback beggar. And he said, don't come with me now. I'll return to you and I'll bless you that you should be like me. And he finally arrives at the fifth Sheva Bracha after they're getting married, and the celebration and the joy that is found within the sense of destitution. And when a person comes to find within the Prat Hayoter Mefurat Sheyachal Aparit, within the most irreducible, fragmented piece of themselves, they come to find the light of the all. In that place of simcha, we come to uncover miyot hamachsika samaruba, that in truth my shoulders appear to be hunchback because I'm carrying everything. I'm carrying everything within each and everything. I'm carrying everything within each and every small part. And this is the story that the hunchback beggar gives over. The hunchback beggar tells, in order so that it should be understood that he has the secret of miyat hamachsika samaruba. V'haraya. And he says, what's the proof? And again, it's kedai to read the whole story inside, because each and every word of the story is filled with depth. It's the same principle. Sipuri maisios meshanim kanmonios are a fruit of the Eitz HaChaim. They're a fruit of the Eitz HaChaim. It's a quintessential expression of the light of lights, of Pnimius HaTorah, of the Keser, of all Kesarim, of Razin the Razin, hidden within the Yud Gimel Tikkunim of Atik Yoimin, of drawing down an ancientness that invigorates and enlivens even the deadest of spirits. It breaks open even the hardest of hearts. And this medicine is coming down to us as a pre from the Eitz. That if the human being can be an eitz, Rebbe Nachman was an eitz, each and every tzaddik is a tree, and the tzaddik emes is the tree of all trees. And this is a fruit that comes out, and this fruit holds everything. Every word is miyat hamachsika samaruba, but we're going to start from a particular starting point and end, and a particular end point for the sake of understandability. Zakta Heilige Rebbe, the haraya, what's the proof that I have a miyat hamachsika samaruba that's greater than all of yours, all of the different ways that all of you just express miyat hamachsika samaruba? I have a different understanding, and I have a way of revealing that I truly understand that secret more than anyone. The haraya, and what's the proof? Kipam achas hayukas achas shahayu chokrim. Once upon a time, there were a group of individuals who decided to investigate. Ba'asher shekol chaya yesh lo tseil miyuchad shebezeh hatseil daika hiroitze lanuach sham. V'chein yesh tseil miyuchad l'chol chaya v'chaya ki kol chaya b'cheres lo eza tseil u'botza tseil daika hu rotze lishkon sham k'fi hatseil miyuchad lo. That it's clear that each and every creature in this world desires a particular form of shade, desires a particular form of comfort, desires a particular form of concealment for the sake of revelation that enables us to find ourselves in this world, to find comfort, lanuach sham. And the other creature has a different desire for a different form of shade, and the other creature has a different desire for a different form of shade. Each and every person has a different shade that they're looking to find protection in, the Tzela D'mei Musa. Because each and every animal chooses, each and every creature chooses in accordance to its own understanding the type of shade and protection that it's seeking. And it's specifically in that form of shade that it expects and it desires to rest itself in, that it's going to find comfort in the secret that HaKadosh Baruch Hu reveals himself to each and every person in their own particular way, in accordance with the own conjecture of their heart. V'alkein chakru im yochlu limtso v'chein yesh l'chol of v'of anaf miyuchad shab'oso ha'anaf daika hu rotza lishkon. In addition to each and every creature that is seeking out its particular form of shade underneath that tree, so too the birds are seeking out branches upon which they can rest themselves. The creatures underneath the tree are the human elements of experience that are searching for the comfort of godliness, and the oaf and the birds that fly on top of the tree and are searching for landing on the tree and the particular desire are the spiritual conquest that we seek out in our lives. Each and every creature has its own particular form of relative desire. V'alkin chakrum yochem limtsoa ilan kazeh asher betzelo yeshkanu kol hachayos. Shekol hachayos yihiu bo charim v'yitratzu lishkoin betzel osa ha'ilan v'al anafav yishkanu kol tzipre shmaya. And these chokrim, these group of individuals, these well-intentioned individuals, decided to search out amongst themselves if such a tree existed, a tree that can provide shade for all of the creatures together, a differentiated form of shade that provides with each and every person what they need, and a place where all of the different creatures can find rest, and all of the different creatures will choose to rest there and to find a particular form of shade underneath their tree, as well as all of the different birds will choose to rest themselves upon this tree. Does such a tree exist? A tree that contains the space for all things, that contains the possibility of all difference finding what it needs within the singularity of its unity, and that secret of sheyesh dai be'elukus l'chol bria v'bria, that there's enough for each and every person, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is enough, and the light of the tzaddik is enough for each and every person, and each and every person has what they need. V'chakru shenimsu ilan kazeh v'ratzu leilech l'sham el oso ha'ilan. They discovered that, yeah, such a tree exists. There's such a das, there's such a form of peace that makes space for all differentiation, but yet doesn't make the difference feel that it's losing out by dint of the difference, but rather it's capable of uncovering the light of Chachma and unity within its separation of Bina. They discovered that, yeah, Taka, there is such a tree, there is such a yichud, and Ilan is Gematria 91. It's Havaya and Adnos. It's the unification between above and below, a perspective of looking that holds all difference together in its fundamental unity. And they realized that, yeah, there's a place, and they had a desire to go there, to go towards that tree that can provide each and everything with what it needs. Ki ha'oineg ha'mufla sheyesham etzel oso ha'ilan ein l'sha'er. Ki yesham kol ha'ofos v'kol ha'chayos v'sham ein shum hezek mishum chaya. V'chol ha'chayos v'chulei me'uravim sham. V'kulam mesachakim sham. Bevadei hu tainug muflag me'od liot sham etzel oso ha'ilan. Why did they want to go to this tree? Where does all desire find expression? Where is desire fundamentally rooted? As we know from the writings of Chabad, desire is rooted in what? In Tainug, in Ratzon. Ratzon and Tainug are the two fundamental expressions of Keser. So why did they want to go there? Because there was going to be a wondrous form of pleasure that can be found in a tree like this. It's an undescribable form of pleasure, because over there, all of the birds, all of the different revelations are there, and all of the creatures and all of the different experiences are there. And there's no damage, there's no concern of machlokas, there's no battle from one creature to the other, because all find what they need and all have what they're satisfied with. And all of the creatures are engaged in a form of unification there, and they're all laughing together, and there's a jokingness and a playfulness that emerges from the proliferation of details that felt so separate from one another, yet suddenly reveal themselves to be unified in their roots, specifically by dint of their difference. And it's most certain that there's going to be a profound, wondrous form of pleasure there, and even just being by that tree, Lihios sham etzel oso ha'ilan, to be by that yichud. One need not be the center of attention of the yichud in order to benefit from the light of the yichud. Each and every part of the tree is fundamental. Each and every part of the tree is a fractalized, particular expression of light that contains the all in it. The chakru le'ezet tzad tzrichim leilech lavo le'oso ha'ilan. V'nafal machlokes b'neihem al zeh. V'lo haya machriya b'neihem. Ki zeh amar shetzrichim leilech letzad ploni lemizrach. V'zeh amar lemarav. V'zeh amar lekan. V'zeh amar lechan. V'chulei. Ad shelo hayu lechoylem lahachriya le'ezet tzad tzrichim leilech lavo el oso ha'ilan. But in their attempt to find the path to this tree that provides enoughness for each and every person, the perspective of I am enough, they are enough, it's all enough, and their enoughness doesn't detract from my enoughness, and each and every prat is revelatory of the klal in a singular way, and each and every person is receiving the Torah from Har Sinai in their own singular way, and without them, the revelation of the Torah doesn't have its full expression, and a person has to understand that Bishvili Niver Ha'olam, and Chidush Kamoni Lahaya Me'olam, and Nishmasi Palagadol, all of these Lashonos are there for each and every Yid to understand. But ultimately, in searching for the route towards that tree, they couldn't decide upon the path. This one said they wanted to go that direction towards the east. This one said they wanted to go that direction towards the west. Until ultimately they fell into the opposite of the tree, which was machlokas. They were incapable of deciding which way to go, and they were unable to determine the proper path. Uba chacham echad. And there was a chacham who came, a chacham who was able to see beyond the proliferation of details and opinions as to how to find the path towards that equanimity of the tree. And this chacham comes along with a vantage point from beyond the maze, as the Ramchal points out. And he says as follows, Va'amar lahem, Lama ata chokrim be'ezat tzad leilech el ha'ilan. Chikru mitchila mi v'mi ha'anashim sheyachol lavo el osa ha'ilan. Ki el osa ha'ilan lav kol adam yachol lavo yatzloi. Ki im mi sheyesh lahamido shel ha'ilan. A chacham comes along and he provides a perspectival shift for a moment. He says, you guys are getting busy and stuck on trying to figure out the right way to get towards this tree. But perhaps you should be investigating first and foremost what type of individual has the worthiness to come to such a tree. Because to come to such a tree, it's not simple that every person can come to such a tree. A person who has the qualities of the tree is capable of coming to the tree. But a person who doesn't have the qualities of this tree are incapable of coming to this tree. Now, again, this intervention over here is providing two shifts in consciousness. Number one, it's saying, don't get so involved in the question of how I can get there, but figure out how I can become a person who is deserving of getting there. Instead of wondering, okay, there's this idealized place that I have to get to. What are the ways to get to that idealized place? External directionalities, pathways that I have to take that take me from where I'm at to the place that I imagine myself to be to. And while that's important, and there's many drachim in Avodas Hashem, the chacham comes along and says, wait a second, there's something more preliminary that you have to be asking yourself, which is, what makes it a person worthy of being by this tree? Now, this worthiness is not either you're worthy or you're not because you're good enough or you're not good enough. It just means alignment. It means that you have to have the midos of the Ilan. Alignment, hashtavos hatsura, as the Baal HaSulam refers to it. Dveikus by way of aligning ourselves, by way of mimetic desire, so to speak, in imitating HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Mahu af'ata. To become like HaKadosh Baruch Hu. To give like HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to be mevatel ourselves in the light that all we're doing is pretending to be like HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But first and foremost, the Chacham says, instead of trying to figure out the ways and the roads in which you need to get there, figure out how do you become a person who feels worthy of being there? Because if you uncover the pathways of trying to get there, but you don't feel worthy of being a person who arrives there, then all of the pathways are just going to dray a cup and they're going to make you feel worse and worse after a while, because now I'm just going to blame myself that all of these pathways don't work. Perhaps I've never once decided, or a person has not yet decided to say, am I a person who considers themselves worthy of coming to that tree? Now, this Chacham Echad was not coming to warn. He was not coming to say, not all of you can get there. As we're going to see, the maskan of the Chevra is not that, okay, this one will go and that one will go, but rather, okay, how do we get to a place where all of us are worthy of coming to that place of feeling that we're worthy to get there? But it was just a gentle reminder that don't get so focused in the methodologies and the technologies of how to get to the point of destination, but orient yourself, figure out why it is that you feel that you're unworthy of getting to that destination, why your small part is not enough. And then come to a place of understanding the pathway of what it means to be like that tree, to align your midos to the tree. The only way to come to that tree is someone who has the midos of the tree. Because in truth, this tree has three roots. Three that are two, that are one ultimately, but three roots, three expressions, which is how we see things in this world. Shorish echad hu emuna. V'hasheni hu yira. V'hashlishi hu anivos. Ve'emes hu guf ha'ilan. U'misham yoitzem anafim. So here, obviously, we're not going to go into even the simplicity of this, but what we can say is that what the Chacham is saying, that first and foremost, identify your alignment. See yourself as someone worthy of coming to that place of equanimity and satisfaction and simcha bechelko. And what are the conditions? What are those midos? So those midos of the tree are really the roots of the tree. And there's three of them. There's emuna, there's faithfulness, there's faith, the willingness to believe beyond rational understanding. Hasheni hu yira. The second one is fear, but not a fear of punishment or retribution, but a fear, like we saw yesterday, a fear of yira, that is the fundamental awareness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's infinite presence, to the degree that I'm perpetually in a state of yira, which is a state of bittul, which is realizing my absolute nothingness in the light of that which I am experiencing HaKadosh Baruch Hu's infinite presence. And the third one is anivus, which is humility. And emes is the tree itself. And MS is where the branches are going to come from. So we see, when we see any equation of four, that there's three and then there's a fourth. So we can say that, okay, this is how the Shem Havaya operates. It's three and then four. It's Chachma, Bina, Zer Anpin, and then there's Malchus. So there's always four. There's Yud, K, Vav, K. And so we see that there's three roots of the tree, and there's the guf of the tree itself. The first root of the tree, the lowest place from whence everything emerges, is Malchus. That's Emunah. That's the beginning and the end. That's the Malchus Agnuza Baradla. It's the foundation, the first source, the lowest thing that appears to be devoid of illumination, but at the end, it represents the most fundamental rootedness and foundationality, which is faith, Emunah. The second one is Yira, and as we described Yira, that's Chachma. That's Bittul, Koach Ma, V'anachnu Ma. And the third is going to be Anivus, which is the light of Keser, as the Ramak points out. So we see that there's Malchus, and we know that Malchus is rooted in Chachma, Abi Yasad Brata, and Chachma is rooted in Keser. Malchus is this worldliness, and Malchus, this world, has two sources to it, two ways of grasping it. Chachma, which is that I'm completely nullified in the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that the sense of self and the sense of individuality has to be nullified in the face of absolute bittul. But then there's the beginning of Keser, which is the source of Chachma itself, which is a higher level, which is Anivus. It's not only bittul, but it's Anivus. It's the secret of maintaining the self even after annihilation, and allowing the secret of Aniva Ayin B'vasachas to take shape. That's Moshe Rabbeinu. That's Anava, where the self contains to express itself, but as a shliach of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So we see there's Malchus, which is the first root. Then the second root is Chachma, and then there's Keser. But we're missing the entire process of Bina and Zer Anpin. So that's Ve'emes Hu Gufa Ilan. And this is exactly what we've been learning in Adir B'Marom, and Adir B'Marom has this almost explicit definition of a tree where the birds can come to rest and the animals can come to find shade, to the degree that it's almost incredible to see these two tzaddikim who are so fundamentally unified together in the secret of the Yesod, but are ultimately talking about the same exact nakuda here, this same image, this same vision, this same revelation of the tree. That there's the rootingness of the tree, which is Malchus, which is this worldliness. And speaking largely, I look towards the source of Malchus, which is Chachma, which is Yira, and then from there I go to an even higher level, which is Keser, which is Anivus. So that's Emuna, Yira, and Anivus, Malchus, Chachma, and Keser. But the Gufa Ilan, which is the Iker place of the Yegiya and the Iker place of the experience, where the Anafim come out from, where all the Pratim come out from, is the secret of Zer Anpin, which comes from Bina. Ve'emes is the source of Bina, which is Ve'emes, which is Eheket times Eheket, 21 times 21, I believe, turns out to be MS. I could be wrong on that gematria, but there's a gematria where Bina itself is the source of MS. And then MS is obviously Zer Anpin, which is Teferes, which is going to be Chesed, Gvura, Teferes, Netzach, Hod, and Yesod. So now we have a full parts of that. There's the Malchus, which is the first source of Emuna. Then you have the Guf of the Ilan itself, which is Bina and Zer Anpin, which goes from Yesod to Hod to Netzach to Gvura to Teferes to Gvura to Chesed back into Bina. And then you have Yira, which is the lofty space of Chachma. And then you have the crown, which is Keser, which is Anivos itself. And the emes is the gufa ilan. And these are the alignments. A person has to align themselves. A person has to understand the secret of malchus, rooting itself in chachma and keser, which is the fact that I am okay because my expression of myself is a fundamental expression of where HaKadosh Baruch Hu is revealing his light in. And then with that, I can descend down into the particularized valences of my journey, which is the gufa ilan itself and all of the branches. And this wise one is saying that before you search out ways to get to the tree, identify if you feel worthy of coming to the tree. You can't come to the tree without these midos. The Elo Akasanal and this group of individuals, they loved each other. It was the secret of Anan Bechavivusa Talia Milsa. There was no gaiva there. They understood that they were trying to learn the secret of Mia Tamachsek Asamruba, how each one holds enough and each one carries enough and each one is enough and each one holds exactly what they need to hold. And therefore, it didn't create a tachrus and a machlokas, but it led to a realization of needing to join together. There was a profound level of unity amongst them, even though there was a machlokas before. Machlokas is the driver that reveals unity, if done properly. They didn't want to separate from one another. They didn't want that this person should be able to go to the tree and others should not be able to go to the tree, because the secret of Miyat Amachsekas Amruba is the secret that every person has a place by the tree. And to the notion that there's only some people who have a place in the tree, and that it's a din in whether I can make the journey or not, so then that's missing the point. It's waiting until each and every person feels worthy of coming to the tree. Not all of them felt worthy. Not all of them were worthy at that point of going to the tree. Because there were only some people who understood the secret of going from Keser down into Chachma, down into the process of Bina, down into the process of Ampin, to come down finally to the place of Emunah, to then take Emunah all the way back up to the Pnimius of Keser, which is the secret of Malchus Agnuza Baradlo, which is the Pri Ha'etz, which is the secret of the fruits of the land, which take time to emerge. And the danger of eating a fruit prior to its ripening, as Rebbe Nachman describes in Torah Pei and Chelek Beis, and the secret remnant of the burnt book that finds itself buried within Likutei Moharan. Not everybody had these midos yet. They all waited. Not only did they all wait, they were all stuck, because there was such a sense of unity. The truest sense of unity is that that each and every part is going to express itself in the way that it needs to express itself. And there's no reality in which there is a part of the self that is left behind. The light of unity is all inclusive. The light of unity must express itself everywhere in order for it to express itself anywhere. Now, there are layers of concealment, but the fundamental awareness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's unity is that there is nothing that is beyond the pale of trying to gain access to the absolute and infinite revelation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's light. And so they decided, they understood the mission. They understood that the ikar of the tree is not to run to the malchus or the chacham or the keser of the tree, but to become worthy of being part of the tree, of being the Eitz Chaim itself, of going through the ibur, yanika, and moichin, and the process of growth and descent and ascent. Until everybody found themselves worthy of going to that tree, so that everybody, each and every part, can come to reveal its inherent unity within the Yichud Hagadol, within the Ilan, which is the secret of Yud Kei Vav Kei being Matliyachid with Aleph Daled Nun Yud, the secret of Yichud Ilan, Yichud Tata, the secret of Olam HaAtzilus and the worlds of separation, the secret of the Klal and the Prat. V'chein asu, and they did it. V'yagu v'tarchu ad shaba'u kulam le'elu hamidos. They made a decision to do it, and then they went into the effort which brought about the conclusion, meaning to do effort without making the decision that I'm going to finish the journey l'kel gomer alai, so then a person can grow tired. But if a person decides at the beginning that this is what it's going to be, and this is the yagia, and I'm going to find the tzvi no matter what, as Rebbe Nachman tells in another Maisa of the Melech who goes out with a hunting party and they want to capture a deer, and they try and find the deer, and a group of them say, we got to go back, we're not going to find the deer, we got to go back. And the king says, you guys go back, but I decided to find the deer and I'm going to find the deer. And so too the king persists in finding the deer. This is what they did. And then and then and only then did they put in the effort to come to a place of being able to refine those midos. When all of them came to these traits and these midos, there was a unification of their das, which was not a negation of the particularized points of their own knowledge. Each and every person has their own das. Laman das kol amei haaretz ki Hashem Elokim. Each nukud of das, each mind is its own das of Moshe and its own Kabbalah Satorah. And in that das, it forms the general framework of the das of Moshe, where each and every part is revealed to be fundamentally significant in the secret of Rabbi Akiva, revealing how each and every prat comes from the general perspective of Moshe Rabbeinu. The Hiskimu kulam al derech achas And then and only then did they conclude that this is the way to get to the tree. Now that we feel that we're all deserving of getting to the tree, this is where we're going to go, to that place where each and every part, no matter how insignificant, is going to be shown to be fundamental to the all, fundamental and indivisible, and fundamental in the constitution of the full shape of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's unity in this world. And it took some time, and they walked until from afar they saw the Ilan. They saw the tree. And they looked and they saw the tree was outside of space. The tree was a separate thing entirely. The tree broke the frame. The tree was not rooted. The tree was not something that can be grasped as a result of a cause and effect. The tree was something that exceeded the capacity of the human being's capacity to even theoretically draw it down into their lives. In the secret of Tchilaso Avoda V'Sofa Matana, that to get to the tree, to know about the tree, that's the Avoda. But to get to the tree, that's the Matana. And when it comes to a Matana, there's a Ma'avar. There's a halal that needs to be traversed, that needs to be crossed over, that separates two levels. That when I reach the Kesser of the lower level and I look towards the Malchus of the higher level, it's not a simple dilug. I can't jump. That's an impossible distance. And it appears that the next level of getting to the tree is in fact outside of time and space. I'm incapable. I'm literally not able to get there. I don't have the tools to get to that place. Ki ein laha ilan makom klal. The tree is outside of time. It's an ideal that cannot be revealed in this world. Theoretically, one cannot come to the Ashiras of Das, if it's outside of time, of finding everything in the smallest bits. Me'achar she'en lo makom, and if there's no space there, if I can't enter into it by way of my orientation towards what I am at this point, which is a time and space-bound creature, rooted in all of my conceived notions, and that other place is a completely different orientation, how is it possible for a person to traverse that which is untraversable, to reach beyond the limit itself towards that which is limitless? The ani, and this is where the hunchback beggar is revealing why he has the miyat machzikas amruba greater than any of the other people in the heart of his story. Haisi gam kein sham imahim. I was also with the chevra, trying to get to the tree. V'amarti lahem, and I said to them as follows: Ani yachol lahavi eschem el ha'ilan. I can take you to that tree. I can help you traverse the barrier, the separation, and the real impossibility that rests between the top of the lower level and the bottom of the higher level. That halal, that void that seems untraversable, that decision that must be made in order for a person to get to the next level. In that vacant space, a person cannot traverse from one edge to the other, because it's terrifying. What's going to happen if I fall? I'm going to fall into nothingness. I'm going to fall into the in-between itself, and a person is incapable. But Zak the Heilige hunchback beggar, Zak the Heilige tzaddik, he says, I can bring you to that place. Ani yochel lahavi eschem el ha'ilan. I can bring you from the limit of space in which we orient our ability towards the beginning of impossibility which rests beyond space. I can bring you to that tree. Kizeh ha'ilan ein lo makom klal. Because you're right. That tree, that yichud amiti, that recognition that Hashem hu ha'elikim, and the yichud of the Ilan, which is the secret of Yud, K, Vav, K, Aleph, Daled, Nun, Yud, revealing that all of the Pratei Pratim of Aleph, Daled, Nun, Yud in this worldly existence is revelatory, or even more orienting towards the fundamental unity of HaKadosh Baruch Hu than even the original level of Yud, K, Vav, K is, because it's specifically by way of the privation into the particularized points that a person comes to uncover the profundity of the all itself. You're right, it's beyond. You're right, it's fundamentally beyond. It's the next world. It's the malchus of the next world. Yeah, you might be holding by the kesser of this world, and you might think that you've reached some place, but it's the malchus of the next world. It's a different place entirely. But my midah of of coming to a place of smallness, of minimal, of coming to realize how little I actually have, and then coming to discover that I still have everything, which is reducing the amount of space that it takes to reveal that I have everything, to the degree that I can refine it down to the most irreducible point, to the tachlis of all, where a person can hold absolutely nothing other than the irreducible drop of selfhood that remains in the place of the Anid, the Kedusha. And in that place of the minimal form of space imaginable in the territory where space is still the functional model, I can become the bridge, the Gesher Tzarma'od, that enables those who are in space to exit and enter into the place that is beyond space. And again, each and every person has this element within themselves. The beggars all exist within us. So he's saying that don't be afraid that you operate in space now, and the goal is get to the place beyond space. Because I represent a particular form of spatiality, which is the irreducible remnant of spatial and temporal spacing, but at its most refined place where I take up no space. I'm translucent. I'm mevutel b'tachlis habitul. V'anachnu ma. I'm nothing. I'm nothing other than a shliach of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm nothing other than a merkava of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm nothing other than nothingness embodied to the degree that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is revealing himself through me. That's the secret of the miyat hamachzikas amaruba. So don't be afraid that you're in space and you want to get to the place that's beyond space, because there's an in-between between space and non-space, which is the last element of space, which is the beginningness of spacelessness itself. The bridge between the limit of the lower level and the beginning of the next level. The secret of traversing the tzimtzum. The Bechina of Miyat Machsekas Meruba is still in a little bit of space. Ki al kol panim yesh lo makom muat. It still has an irreducible point, a quintessential drop that contains the all within itself. A fractal, no matter how refined, down to its irreducibility, to the point that it can't be erased anymore. The tiny dot in the middle of the Beis of Bereshis, which the Gra says is the entirety of the Torah, the bas ayin of the eye itself, each and every neshama. It's a Miyat Machsekas Meruba. It still takes up space, but it's a space that contains far more than it can possibly contain. As Rebbe Nachman describes in Sefer Amidos, that the secret of the tzaddik is the secret of miyat hamachzakas hameruba, va'amech chulam tzaddikim, and the tzaddik emes is the ilan. Aval adayin yesh lo makam muat al kol panim. There's still space there. It's the spatial representation of no space, but it's still contained within space, and that becomes the bridge between space and non-space. It's the spatial expression of non-space, the in-between that rests between the two polarities, yet maintains a connection between the two of them by way of unifying both poles. This hunchback beggar says that each and every one of us are, that each and every one of us have. I've pushed it to the limit. I've refined and refined and refined and come to a place of being okay with what I have. Hasameach b'chelko, simcha chelkis, in the chelik itself, in the tiny dot that contains all. It's the end of space. I don't need to hold a lot in order to reveal this potency. I have the littlest amount, and I can show the greatest amount itself. The midah of miyut hamachzik hameruba sheyeshli hi bechinas sof hamakom lagamri. It's the end. It's the limit of space. Shemisham ulamala ein makom klal. Beyond it, you can't reduce it anymore. You can't carve away at it. It can't pull over anymore. It's already pulled over. It's already there. It's gotten to that irreducible point. It's at the bottom, and at that place, yesh enyan sheyitapecha kol. In that place, a person is forced to come to realize that I still have everything. I still have everything. Like Shlomo Melech, who came to have absolutely nothing other than his makel, which is Rosh Tevos Kedushasi L'Mala Mikdushasechem. The fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, at least I recognize what I don't know. At least I recognize that you're greater than me. At least I recognize that I'm not God. And from that place, there's no space whatsoever. With this midah, says the hunchback beggar, I can bring you all to that tree beyond space, when we all encounter that secret of the bittul b'tachlis that the tzaddik emes reveals, as long as we're connected to the roots of the tzaddik emes, the nachal nevei makor chachma, the Torah of the Eitz HaChaim, the Torah of the Chamishi Yechidei Hadoros, and the Torah of the tzaddikim in our generation, all representing different parts of the tree itself. And from that place, when we own that bittul, we can get to that place, Lamala min hamakom lagamre, which is the place of equanimity, where each and every point is seen to reveal the all itself, where every prat, every fraction, every fragment that appears to be a broken shard is in truth going to be revealed to be a fractal that contains the all, and the secret of Shvira Sakelim, and the secret of the breaking that precedes the fixing, the descent into the Eitz Hadas to reveal the Eitz HaChaim. This hunchback beggar who he represents the point of contact, the in-between space that connects one edge with the other, space and beyond space. Because he refined the degree of miyat hamachzik asamaruba, of holding the minimal amount, the etzem haluz that contains the all, from whence tchias hamesim is going to come from, where it's reduced ad abstraction, ad infinitum, to come to the place of that which remains, and that afar de manakula, and that's where growth comes from. Shubachinas soif hamakom mamish. It's the end of space itself. A person has to push themselves to that limit to come to find that I am okay, and everything is okay, and I am enough, and everything is enough, and that I'm loved, and that I'm beloved, and that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to be mashpia shefa tov and shefa rav into every ounce of each and every person's kalim at every moment when we come to accept ourselves as enoughness and to see that there's enough. L'takin oilam b'malchut shaddai, to come to find the secret of my malchus is enough, and I can't look at someone else's malchus, and another person can't look at my malchus, and to transform each and every individual form of malchus into a malchus that's shalim, malchusa b'chol mashallah, the secret of malchus in each and every particularized form of malchus. Shemisham mohala im nimsa tevas makom klal. There's no place in that place. Ki misham lamala b'chinas lamala min hamakom. It's above space entirely. V'al kein hu yachol lisau usam mitoich hamakom. He can bring you to that place. This midah of the tzaddik emes, this bittul b'tachlis, this his hapchus of the self to become a shliach le'elyon, mitzvah bo yotem b'shlucha, as Rebbe Nachman describes in Hilchos Shluchim halacha daled l'b'chinas l'malam and amakom v'havein. V'lakachti osam, and I took them there. The tzaddik says, the hunchback beggar says, I can take you to that tree with this recognition of bittul, to trust the process of coming to understand the fraction of what we are, to come to reveal that that's specifically where the fractalized whole of who we are is going to be revealed. Nimtza, says the hunchback beggar of the fifth day, I have an approbation from that kas, from that group of people who discovered the tree of life, who discovered the ability to be okay, who discovered the klal of erchin, who discovered the secret of the Rasha, who discovered the secret of unifying Torah HaChasidus and Torah HaKabbalah for the sake of bringing Mashiach Tzidkenu. I understand that I'm nothing, and that's why it looks like my shoulders are heavy. But in truth, I know the secret of holding so much without anything at all. I'm carrying so much. I know how little I am, and therefore I carry so much. Va'ata, says the beggar, Va'ata, and now, and right now, and Tu BShvat, and right now. I give it to you as a gift, that you should be like me. That a person should understand that I can be like HaKadosh Baruch Hu kaviyachol. I can be medama my midos to HaKadosh Baruch Hu by way of being medama my midos to the tzaddik emes, which is bittul behechlet, which is a fundamental acceptance of the role that one plays for the sake of uncovering that within the nekuda of chirik, within that tiny black dot, I can ascend it and schlep it all the way back up above the vav to the cholim, which becomes the dream of nevuah, where each and every person receives what they need to receive. And at that time, at the Sheva Brachos in the pit, buried in the mud, covered in twigs and branches, where the chasana of the lost children were taking place, there was a profound joy and a profound gladness that emerged there in that place. And the secret of each and every part, each and every element of the tree is fundamental. And on Tu BShvat, the person comes to uncover the secret of not chasing after Peros HaIlan, not thinking that the only important thing is the Peros HaIlan. Avada, the Peros taste good. Avada, all of the elements of the Peros taste good, but there's no part of the tree that doesn't contain Peros in it. And in truth, the goal is Tam Ha'etz Ketam Hapri, that the Eitz should reveal, as Rav Kook Schusser Ganalenu reveals in Oros HaTshuva and Oros HaTorah, that every prat holds within itself the klal. We should come to a place of simcha chelkis, of coming to terms with Ezehu Ashir Asamech Bechelko on the Rosh Hashanah for the Ilan, where HaKadosh Baruch Hu judges us and he prepares us to understand what is going to be my hasaga of yichud this year. Ha Ilan, the yichud, not just the regular yichud of Yud Kei Vav Kei Aleph Daled Nun Yud, but in its largest expression, the yichud of Olam HaTzilas and the yichud of Bri Yitzir Nasiya, the yichud of the Ikr and the yichud of the Tafel, the yichud of the klal and the yichud of the prat, the yichud of Mashiach ben David and Mashiach ben Yosef, the yichud of the ideal self and the real self, the Baal Tshuva and the Tzaddik, to come to a place of revealing the Das of Moshe, which is the secret of the Elan itself, that every part of the tree is revelatory of all parts of the tree, and we should come to find joy, we should come to find gladness, and we should come to find shefa and bracha, ad belidai, to the point where a person doesn't need more because everything is enough. And in that place, a person comes to find the secret of Mashiach Tzidkenu, the ability to take a deep breath and to rest in the certitude of being in the land of Chaim, being a living person with a neshama that has the ability to reveal that each and every one of us are the Eitz Chaim itself. Each and every one of us are the full expression of what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants in this world. And when we all come to make space and make room, and the jealousy flies away, and comes down, and each and every person can look the other in the eye and say, Ayin ba'ayin yir b'shuv Hashem tzion, that Ayin ba'ayin is the secret of the ayin of the ace, and B'shuv Hashem Tzion is the tzadi of the ace, and bringing the ayin into Tzion is the secret of the eitz, as the Ramchal points out. And in that place, it's ha'ilan, the secret of the yichud ha'amiti, where all of the pratim and all of the avodah of the individualized midos and yichudim that we're engaged in our particular lives will emerge into the secret of Mashiach Tzidkenu, which is the das of shalom, where there's no more machlokas and no more pain and only joy, gladness, and unity all the way up, all the way down. Be'ezus Hashem.